One of the biggest criticisms I see of managers, especially from English and British pundits, is that there's not enough English, British, Scottish, Irish, whatever you want to say, managers in the league. There are no homegrown sort of managers in the Premier League because a lot of pundits feel the British coaches aren't getting a chance. And I know calling Scottish British will have some tension there. Not only has the Scotsman taken to Portugal like a duck takes to water, he's learnt the language and speaks it fluently that puts even Portuguese generations like me to shame. And more recently, he went on an 8-match unbeaten streak with Estoril. Unfortunately, ending that streak losing to Sporting 3-1, but still putting up a team that plays great attractive football and still gave Sporting a very tough time. This is the story of Ian Cathro and Estoril. Now, Ian Cathro had an actually very different experience being brought into football than most other managers. He started off at Dundee United as a local youth coach, but he became the head of Dundee United's youth academy at the age of 22. It was at his time at Dundee United he worked for the Scottish FA's local youth programme, where Ryan Gould even cited Cathro as one of the biggest influences on his career. Ryan Gould has gone on to star not only in the Portuguese league, but also tearing up the MLS currently. But he just didn't want to be a head of youth academy. He wanted to be a manager and he wanted to be a coach. So he started taking his coaching badges, where in 2009 he met future manager and former Porto player Nuno Espirito Santo. Ian Cathro and Nuno Espirito Santo bonded over their similar play styles and also their passion for being a football manager. In fact, that passion resonated so much with them, when Nuno Espirito Santo became manager of Rio Ave, he actually hired Ian Cathro as his assistant. But it was during that season in Rio Ave where Nuno Espirito Santo and Ian Cathro did very well for the club, getting to the final of the Taça de Portugal and the Taça de Liga, therefore leading them to the UEFA Europa League for the first time in the club's history. Those great performances attracted big clubs such as Valencia in Spain, who offered Nuno Espirito Santo a 1-year contract in July of 2014 to take the helm. And with him went Ian Cathro. The two led Valencia to 4th place in Nuno Espirito Santo's first season in charge, with highlights including a 2-1 win over Real Madrid and also a 2-2 draw away against Real Madrid as well. Nuno Espirito Santo was also named manager of the month 3 times that season. But however, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, because on the 29th of November, Nuno Espirito Santo was sacked from Valencia, and that also meant Ian Cathro went with him, following a 1-0 away defeat to Sevilla and also poor showings in the La Liga and the Champions League. During his time at Valencia, Espirito Santo and his agent Jorge Mendes, and also club owner Peter Lim, were criticised for signing the agent's clients. Roberto Ayala, who won several trophies at Valencia as a player and later became a scout, actually left the club, alleging they were signing such players for inflated fees to help both the agents and the manager's pockets. Before that disaster of the season, Ian Cathro actually resigned from his position as Nuno Espirito Santo's assistant to join Newcastle a week later on the 11th of June 2015. He became the assistant to Steve McLaren, who was recently appointed manager in 2015. But as I'm sure you all know, Steve McLaren was no match for Newcastle at that time, and he was sacked. But when McLaren was sacked in 2016, and replaced by Rafa Benitez thought so highly of Cathro that he was retained as an assistant manager. But despite his growing reputation as an assistant manager, Ian Cathro wanted to be in charge of a first team and wanted to be the manager that ran things, not just the assistant. So on the 5th of December 2016, he signed for Hearts in the Scottish Premiership. The appointment caused some debate in Scottish football. Former Kilmarnock player Chris Boyd questioned whether such a young manager with limited playing experience could command the respect of the rest of the squad. And unfortunately, Cathro's first stint as head coach in Scotland was far from smooth. His methods clashed with expectations, and his lack of playing experience, like Chris Boyd said, made him an easy target for critics. His time at Tynecastle ended in disappointment. The Hearts performed so poorly in the second half of the 2016-17 season, winning only 5 of 22 games after Cathro was appointed. They fell to 5th in the league and were knocked out of the 2016-17 Scottish Cup by the Edinburgh Derby rivals Hibernian. After Hearts failed to qualify for the 2017-18 Scottish League Cup group stage, Cathro was sacked. His time at Hearts led many people to question whether he was even suited for a manager role, with even Brendan Rodgers saying that there appeared to be a confused approach at Hearts, with a mismatch between the style of play Cathro wanted to implement the style and the players that were signed by the heads of the clubs. After Cathro left, Hearts interim manager John Daly and player Cole Stockton claimed that the physical training under Cathro had lacked intensity. But Ian Cathro did not disappear. Instead, he returned to the background and continued to learn. After almost a year out of football, Cathro was appointed assistant coach to Wolverhampton Wanderers in June 2018, linking up again with Nuno Espirito Santo. At Wolves is where Nuno Espirito Santo arguably had some of his best moments, but of course up until now in Nottingham Forest. But Nuno Espirito Santo was awarded Premier League Manager of the Month in his second month managing in the English top flight with the help of Ian Cathro, getting 10 points from 4 matches and only conceding once. It was the first ever time in history that a Wolves manager had that honour of being Manager of the Month. And after that, Wolves finished 7th in the first season with Cathro and Nuno Espirito Santo at the helm, even qualifying for the Europa League. In the 3 more great years at Wolverhampton, Nuno Espirito Santo and Ian Cathro stepped up. No disrespect, of course, but they joined Tottenham Hotspur on the 30th of June 2021. And unfortunately, that Tottenham spell did not go well for Nuno Espirito Santo as he was sacked after 4 months in charge. After Nuno Espirito Santo then moved to Al Ittihad, Ian Cathro joined him as well. But it was after that season, Ian Cathro decided to try it one more time at being a first team manager. And that opportunity would come in June 2024, where he took charge at Estoril. Now, Estoril are known very well in Portugal for playing quite attractive football, and they've had quite a few decent players pass through there, but also managers like Marco Silva. And it's at Estoril where he built a team that is fearless, well organised and efficient in possession. His side is great at pressing and transitions quickly, and he's ended up competing against some of the biggest clubs in Portugal. Under his leadership, Estoril has become one of the most exciting teams to watch in Portugal. But it was at Estoril where Ian Cathro's first few games did not go to plan. They lost the first game of the season to Santa Clara 4-1 at home, then lost to Vitória Guimarães 1-0 in the second game of the season. Tough start did not end there, as they drew 2 back-to-back games 0-0 against Gil Vicente and Boa Vista respectively. They got their first win of the season against Nacional, who were newly promoted, but just winning 1-0 for not being able to win the next 4 games, drawing 2 and losing 2. He picked up only his second win of the season on the 26th of October 2024, beating Aroca 4-1. But then would lose to Porto 4-0 the week after. And things did not get better as they also drew to newly promoted AVS. They picked up only their 3rd win of the season on December 1st, 2024, beating Famalicão 2-1, but then drawing to Braga the game after. People did wonder if this was too much too soon for Ian Cathro again, because he was not performing and his team was struggling near the relegation places. A draw to Braga followed, then a 2-0 loss to Casapia, and a 3-0 loss to Estoril. But this is where things get interesting. Estoril went on an 8-game unbeaten streak, drawing 2 and winning 6, including beating Santa Clara 3-2, Vitória Guimarães 1-0, Gil Vicente 2-1 away from home, Boa Vista 2-1, Rio Ave 2-1, and drawing to Nacional and Morientes respectively. Ian Cathro sets out his team in a 3-4-3, similar to what Ruben Amorim had at Sporting, with a back 3, 2 midfielders, the wing backs and also the wingers and the striker up front. You might recognise some names from his Estoril team, such as Joel Robles, who used to play for Everton, and is also joined by fellow Scotsman Jordan Holsgrove. Now, Jordan Holsgrove operates as a central midfielder, and he's genuinely one of my favourite players to watch outside of the big 3. Even against Sporting last time, he's just so good. He's great on the ball, has a strike on him, physical defender, and great at picking out a pass as well. But Jordan Holsgrove is also someone who's had a strange career path. He started out at Reading and then went to Celta Vigo, who then joined Pacos de Ferreira, where he had a decent spell. So much so that he caught the eye of Olympiacos, who brought him in July 2023. But they didn't find space for him and wanted him to grow, and he joined Estoril on a season-long loan. He's there where he played 19 games and scored 2 goals, and ended up signing for Estoril permanently the season after. Holsgrove has played 19 matches for Estoril this season, starting 17 and playing 1,575 minutes. The 25-year-old has registered 3 assists and also has an expected assist of 2.61. He has completed 996 passes this season and also has a passing accuracy of 84.9. He's also a great dribbler, taking 16 successful dribbles and having a dribble success ratio of 64%. His defensive stats are not anything to be scoffed at either, as he has won 26 fouls, won 87 duels, 17 aerial duels, and intercepted 19 times and recovered the ball an impressive 95 times. He has only received 3 yellow cards this season and 0 red cards as well. But Ian Cathro has also made some very smart signings at Estoril. He's brought in Xeka on a free transfer from Al Sadd, who used to play for Lille and former Portuguese international in the pivot that joined Jordan Holsgrove. He also brought in centre-back Kevin Bommer from Rhodes AF from Ligue 2 in France, and he has also doubled his value and has been fantastic for Estoril this season. Gonzalo Costa is a left-back who is at Sporting's youth academy and actually scored against Sporting on the weekend and had a decent spell at Portimonense, being bought in for 200k as well. Smart free transfers as well, like the previously mentioned Xeka, João Carvalho, João Robles, Pedro Amaral, and some other signings that have been very good for them, such as Yanis Bergawi, with 6 goals and 2 assists in 24 appearances, but have also managed to bring in a very talented winger, Rafik Gutain from Braga. What is weird about Gutain's transfer though is that he was actually loaned to Braga at the start of this season with an option to buy for 5 million euros. But lack of game time would see him return to Estoril in January, where he'd want to play again 4 days later, coming on as a substitute against Estrela de Amadora and making assist for their final goal in a 4-2 away win. But Gutain was fantastic last season at Estoril. He was an important starter as the club finished 13th in the league and also reached the 2024 Taça da Liga final. As of recording, Estoril sits in 8th place in Liga Portugal on 34 points. Only 5 points behind 5th place Santa Clara, but still quite a long way from Braga on 47 points, making it a 13-point differential. But with previous 5th place finisher Vitória Guimarães qualifying and doing very well in the Conference League, can Ian Cathro take Estoril to the same heights? Or is this just a purple patch for Ian Cathro and are we going to see more of the same? I don't think so. I really like Ian Cathro and the way he plays football. It was a poor start, but he just had to get used to the players, I suppose. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, he's done very well for Estoril, and I think he's going to be a coach that many fans are going to be talking about for time to come. And if he impresses this season at Estoril with their next game up against Farense and manage to secure a top half finish, maybe making it into the 6th or 5th place positions, maybe a club in England will come calling. But that is the end of this video. I hope you did enjoy something a little bit different, not one about Sporting or Benfica or Porto, one against Estoril, for a guy like Ian Cathro, who's a very fantastic manager. I really like him, and I think the sky's the limit for him. He's really good. He's turned Estoril into one of the most exciting teams to watch in Portugal, so you have to give him really good credit for that. So much respect to him, and I think the sky's the limit for him. But anyway, I'm Samuel Sega. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time, and peace.